It's time.
It's time for the playoffs, boys.
Almost.
Almost. We
We're
got
at
about a week.
game 80 or 79 for everyone going into tonight. And it's gearing up. We're heating
Season's
up.
over Saturday night.
Are games getting played Saturday? Like, are there afternoon games that day? Do you know? Because I think that might be like a giant hockey day. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. There's games at noon, games at 3.
15 games on Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah, it's every team except for one. There, it's a big thing. Who's out first?
I'm not gonna.
I'm
check
not doing
that
the
right now.
math,
I
but
want it to be Montreal.
it's not Montreal. Montreal plays Toronto in the last game. That's going to be a big hockey night in Canada.
Yep.
Um,
Alrighty, so how about we dive into some playoff race since we're talking about playoffs? And
Down.
if we're looking at the wild card spot in the East, we have Columbus, Carolina, and Montreal fighting for it right now. How are you feeling over there, Montreal fan?
I'm overly confident. I mean, like, okay, so
Pasquale's playing right now.
okay, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna throw out a couple things here. You know what? They're playing Tampa Bay right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's tied 1-1. I know they're out shooting them, but you know what? Even going in, you got Pasquale who's in, no Vasilevsky, and no Hedman. That's a winnable game. You have Kotkaniemi, you have your whole lot. Byron's healthy, he's in. That's another
Yeah.
penalty killer
Yeah.
in the lineup. You know what? I think they can. And the other thing is just law of averages. They play Tampa 4 times. They've lost the first 3. They are due for at least a point.
no one's due against
for-
Tampa.
yeah, okay.
No one's.
No.
Kind of make that argument. Same thing with the Leafs. You know what? The Habs, I think, are 0-1-2 against them this year. I think they're due for a win, or at least a point out of that one. And I don't even think Washington's even going to come close. I think we're going to spank Washington by like 3 goals.
Wow.
I'm expecting 5 points. I'm expecting to end the year on 5 points and to finish the year in the last 10 games to go 8-1-1 and make playoffs.
That's bold.
Bold? Is it though?
I think so. Is there a team right now who has a winning record against Tampa Bay?
There's no team in the East.
No team in the East that has a winning record. That is insane.
I looked. The last time I checked, I remember one of them was the Anaheim Ducks have a winning record against.
What?
Yeah, of all teams,
An overtime win and like a regulation win or something.
Oh
Overtime
my
loss
God.
probably and a regulation win. But yeah, they only play twice, so you just
Yeah.
got to lose one and then.
No, they won both. They
Okay.
won. Wow.
Wow.
I think it was like 4 and like an overtime. It might have. Still, they
Who
won
cares?
both
The
games.
fact
They
that
got their number.
And
Yeah.
like,
Too bad they won't match up in the playoffs at all.
Oh.
Can say that with pretty good certainty.
yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I
Um,
did say I think Montreal is gonna make the playoffs, and I have like high standards. I think they're gonna get 5 points in 6 games to make it. But having said that, that means somebody has to come out, and I think that's the Carolina Hurricanes.
What's their record or what's their rest of the games looking like? Who are they playing?
They play Toronto tonight,
That's hard.
and then
New Jersey and Philly.
I feel like they lose to Philly.
I think they're also gonna lose to Philly, and New Jersey's just like one of those teams that I could see just
Miles Wood could turn it up and score 2 kind of thing.
yeah. New Jersey's
Yeah.
just due for a win. Like they have to win some games over the year. Like
Dude, Montreal has the harder schedule
know.
of the 3 teams by
Yeah.
a mile.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I know. Oh, yeah, I'm
Uh,
aware.
Columbus plays Boston tonight, and then Rangers Ottawa to close.
And that's easy.
I see
Oh my
Columbus.
God.
Columbus gets the top wild card spot for a few reasons. The other thing is that they have the most rows
Yeah.
by
That is
like
true.
by like a good portion. So
Yeah.
even if a team is tied with them in points
They still get
necessarily,
that
they're gonna have
spot.
the tiebreaker. So all they
Does
need
it-
to do is
Does it go to row first, or does it go to head-to-head matchup? Who gets
it's
the
row
spot?
and then head to head,
Okay.
And row is regulation wins?
Overtime
regulation
wins.
or overtime.
Yeah, regulation.
It's not shootout wins.
not shootout wins. Okay.
It's very confusing. But it's the way they do it. And I think they should do are you sure it's not head-to-head matchup first? Because
100%.
okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I think it should be.
Yeah,
I think if
I
you're
would
better
rather-
than the team you're
That's
like
the
head.
second. That's the next thing they look at. But
Yeah.
rows is number 1. I do agree that it should be head to head as well. But at the same time, I also think the whole points system to the NHL standings is stupid. I think they should do a
3-point system.
It should be a 3-point per game system. I think that makes the most sense. That's
Yeah.
what they do for the World Championship and World Juniors and
Yeah.
stuff like that too.
I kind of just don't want to see. I know Columbus is going to make it, and especially with the schedule they have. But honestly, I don't want to see them make it. I want to see them go for all this and
Dude,
then
no
just
way.
fall. I honestly
We've
do.
argued about this already.
Yeah, I
They've
know,
gambled
but
way too much. Like I want to see them at least get something out
get
of
something out of it. Yeah. And I feel
Dude, I think an awesome matchup will be Columbus Washington in the first round, a repeat of last year. I think
Especially
that would
when
be
Columbus
Yeah.
actually wins at this time.
boom.
Boom. Threw it out there.
Oof.
Dude, Bob's playing stupid good hockey. And
How's
if
Bob
he
in playoffs, though?
still...
Hasn't he done this a few times where it's like, oh, he's very hot coming into playoffs, and then as soon as it hits playoffs, it's...
He's got 3 shutouts in his last 5.
Holy shit, really? I know he won second star of the month.
Yeah,
McDavid got 1 and Marchand got 3.
At the end of March, he closed it out with 5-0, 4-0, 6-2, 5-2, and 4-0 wins across the board.
Yeah, he wants that playoff spot.
Yeah.
He does. Which I think the heart of Montreal. I just want them. They play with passion, speed, everything, and I just want them to make it in. And I know not a lot of people like that because, especially in this room.
Team. It's another Canadian team being added into the mix.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like the Carolina fan base is kind of,
I wish there was like a Montreal Carolina game. Like, could you imagine, or Columbus Montreal to like? I know we had that last week, and it was a really intense game. But I'd love to see one at like game 81 or 82.
Yeah, like
being
that.
like that.
You're in or you're out. Like last
St. Louis, Colorado.
St. Louis.
Yeah. So.
Did you guys watch that game last year?
Yeah.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just.
But it was bogus because Tarasenko didn't play game 82. He was out for the a month with a separated shoulder and didn't even play in game 82.
I feel like,
and they ended up losing, and it's like, well, that might have made the difference.
Your fucking fault. Don't put it on anybody, but.
Speaking of Tarasenko, we have not talked about how good the Blues have been. Like
31st on January 3rd. We are now 3 months later. 3 months later, and they are now in.
They're fighting for top in the Central.
Yeah, they're now in a.
They are 11th in the NHL overall right now, whereas they've jumped 20 spots in 3/4 months.
2 points back of the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, like I know we kind of had a bit of a "Are you worried about the Jets?" segment the other week, but I'm a little worried about the Jets. Like they held off the game last night and they played pretty well, but like that game against Montreal, we had no offense. I was thankful to actually be there for the game. It was a good game to watch, but the Jets had nothing. Like offensively, we had other than that Hayes chance that hit the crossbar when Laine made that beautiful move to get space. Like that was
about
so dirty.
That was even though that was probably the best chance in the whole game for both teams. Like it was the only
the diving paddle save too. Somebody
on the wraparound. Yeah,
that was pretty good too. The Hayes one was just a lot nicer.
Yeah. But he had the whole friggin' net, and he just put it right off the bar. I'm a little worried. Like, we're going to have to face, it looks like, Dallas. And Dallas is not, like, they're coming into not hot, but not cold either. We talked about them last week. Like, they beat us 5-1 2 weeks ago. They look like a really good team. I'm worried about them. And you can't dispute Nashville as much as we're kind of shitting on them. Like, other than their start's been good, but they haven't been good since then. And obviously, we're talking about the Blues now. That's what we're trying to talk about. They're fucking on fire. And Binnington's great.
Scary.
Like, I'm worried. I was hoping. I saw the Jets with giant, obviously, Stanley Cup aspirations, but not the way we've been playing the last month. Not consistently, anyway. We have no consistency.
Yeah, it's the recent play that's making me doubt how well we're going to do. And the other thing is just if you look at teams that win in the playoffs and you look at where their goalie is, they're normally supposed to be in the top tier. As far as like our sort of Central Division grouping in playoffs, I think there's I would say Hellebuyck is probably last. As far as like, well, if you look at how the regular season's gone and just who's been the hot hand, I would have Bishop and Binnington as 1 and 2. And I'd probably have Rene 3 and Hellebuyck would.
That's a really spicy one. If I said you got one game to win tonight, you get Bishop, Hellebuyck, Rene, or Binnington. Who would you pick?
Yeah,
I think it might be Binnington right now.
I would take Bishop.
I think I'd take Binnington. Like it's a smaller sample size. It's a smaller sample size, but he's just been so lights out since he's been playing in the league, and like it's a really good discussion because Bishop's won a few important games in his career. So was Hellebuyck, but Rene's obviously got the most mileage on him. Like who would you take in that situation?
It's such a toss up, and like especially if you look at Rene like in the playoffs in the past and stuff, like cracks under pressure kind of thing, especially against the Jets last year. And Hellebuyck did stand tall in that game, not amazing, but did get the job done. But right now, I think it would be between Bishop and Bennington as those 2 top spots for who you want to take right now.
Yeah, and when's the last time a team with like a bottom tier goalie
goes anywhere?
You
get Fleury, Holtby last year going to the final. Fleury was the only reason that Vegas went to the final.
Now, there are some teams that can make it work with like shaky goaltending, and I'm not calling Hellebuyck shaky by any means.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that some teams make it work.
Yeah, and it's whoever you put in front of him. You put a great defense in front of him. And honestly, how good would Hellebuyck be if he didn't have the D in front of him?
He hasn't for the past couple month. We just got Bufflin back. Morrissey's missed 19.
Trouba, Myers, he has some good D out there.
So yeah, they're 2 points up on St. Louis and Nashville right now. Do you think there's a chance that the Winnipeg Jets lose their top spot in the Central?
Well, if they lose to Minnesota tonight, there's a legit chance they could, because
they'd all be tied.
They would all be
depending if Nashville or St. Louis win.
Winnipeg does have way more rows than
the
St.
other
Louis and Nashville. So if it is a tiebreaker, Winnipeg does get it. But having said that, all it takes is 1 point.
Yeah. That could be an overtime loss or overtime win kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Colorado and Arizona to close out the year, as long as Minnesota tonight. The Predators, I'm just looking, have Buffalo right now, Vancouver, Chicago.
That's
so not
easy.
exactly a hard schedule either. And then I know that St. Louis has Philly as well at the end, but they have 3 games because they play tomorrow night.
Yeah, because remember, they all have 79 games on the year.
Yeah.
They have Chicago, Philly, and Vancouver.
So that's doable too.
So no one's got a really tough schedule. Like, no one's got an advantage, I would say, though. Like, we got Arizona, Colorado, and 2 Philly games, 2 Vancouver, and 1 Chicago. Like,
there's no really top end dogs like the Leafs or.
And each team plays. We got all ours on the road, though. I think that's the only difference.
The rest of our games are roads.
Yeah, we closed with a 4-game road trip.
That's shitty.
Yeah, a little bit. The other question I had was, even if we don't keep it and we drop to second, are you going to be like really disappointed? Like, would you? Oh, I guess this is what I'm asking. Like, who would you rather play in the first round of playoffs? Like, would Dallas be your number 3 and you'd be happy to have first in the division and play them, or would you rather finish lower, like second in the Central, and get a favorable matchup like Nashville, who you've done better against in the regular season, and just dominate them?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. You've been talking about Dallas a lot lately, and I've been kind of thinking about it. And especially, you don't want St. Louis. I think St. Louis is the one you don't want out of those 3 teams. Let's say the Predators and Dallas, and then I just want to get Nashville kind of done in a way, kind of thing. Like, I want to get done and over with, because you at the beginning of the season you were expecting to play them. So I think kind of the whole get rid of them, which it's going to be a hard series, so maybe not, because I feel like Nashville will be a way more physical series than playing Dallas. So I'm going to say Dallas just because of the miles that you're going to be getting, especially the hits you're going to be taking from the Nashville Predators. So I would say Dallas, but it's honestly a toss-up at this point.
I think you laid it out really well. Just like the goaltender situation, I think all 3 teams are pretty difficult to play against. Like, you can make an argument that I think you could argue Dallas is the hardest team to play, Preds or the Blues. I think I'd also say the Blues are probably the one you don't want to face, just because like the streak they've been on for the past 2.5 months, it's out of this world.
Yeah.
And Dallas is 5 points less than the other 2 teams. So even though it's like by the end of it, it might only be 3 points difference, I would say they're still the weaker regular season team, which you hope would translate. They have a rookie coach, or at least second-year coach. I would be more scared about the Predators' success and all their veterans, and just also
Wayne Train.
You're talking about the physicality. That's a good factor too. I think the Preds are the harder, will grind you down the hardest of the 3 teams.
Yeah.
But I think you're underrating how grindy Dallas has been this year. They're not nearly as run and gun. Say again, Radulov, Ben scoring goals, and that's it. It's guys like Faxa and Lindell.
The Heinz guy.
Heinz is scoring a shit ton of goals for them. But they play a very they've changed their style. They're not
power forward.
They grind. They do grind teams
Jason
down.
Dickinson was another guy they have that's not bad either.
Yeah, they've just got a few little bit pieces down there.
Zuccarello might get healthy for playoffs too.
I forgot
He's
about
another
him.
top 6 winger that you can throw in there too.
Damn.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've actually been a little bit better defensively and physically.
Yeah.
So
Montgomery's doing a really good job there in Dallas.
yeah, I think Dallas just because they seem to be like they have the worst record of the three teams, but honestly, you could make an argument that they're all the harder team to play.
Yeah.
So
kind of in their different ways. Like you have that first line in Dallas, and then the rest is kind of a defensive team. And then you look at the Preds, who's just like everywhere is good. But I think that I do still have faith in the Jets coming out of the Central. It's gonna be very hard.
I think it's gonna be tough, but I think they can do it. As far as like difficulty, I think Nashville will be the easiest way out. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but it's literally just in playoffs. I don't want to be up against the team with the best defense, and I don't want to be up against the team who's hottest going in, and that's Dallas and the Blues. So that kind of leaves Nashville.
You think
at
the Blues
3.
have the best D?
No, Dallas has the best goals against in the West.
Or sorry, St. Louis has the best D.
no,
I'm saying
Dallas has
Dallas
the best D,
has
and St. Louis is the hottest team.
Oh, D.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have the best goals against average in the league, or in the Western Conference this year.
Yeah, I heard that wrong.
Yeah,
it's okay.
All good.
I don't actually. I'm gonna try and find these stats kind of fast, but I believe Nashville's also in the bottom 5 for goals against on the season, so I don't think they're too much different. And I think last year's playoff experience, I think there's going to be some hate. There's going to be Forsberg and Johansson are going to get pissed with Buff, and there's going to be some scraps. There could be some injuries.
And the whole Scheifele Subban thing, and
the other thing is you guys are talking about you don't want to play Nashville because that's a team that's going to like grind you down and that sort of shit. Wouldn't you rather play that team earlier on than later on? I'd rather go head on with those guys. And I also think the Jets are a way bigger and stronger team than Nashville. I think if it came to a battle of just straight up bronze, we would win that game.
We have Dustin Buffalo.
We have how many guys who are 6'5"?
Lowry, like Myers. We have a bunch of big guys.
Both teams can fight. Both teams got grit. And
another big thing I think actually on the reason you want to play with Nashville is their power play is awful. And I think power plays are a huge thing in playoffs.
Special teams in general.
Yeah.
It's an easy way to swing a series. You get a hot power play, you get 3 and 5 chances, and you can win a game on that straight up. Like you win 2 on that with a couple power play goals. So, I'm a little concerned. Like I wasn't a week and a half ago. It's like, they'll gear it up for playoffs, but maybe it's not going to be nearly as easy as we thought.
Well, people were saying that the Western Conference isn't as hard, but just like by looking at it, I don't want to go against anyone in the West, particularly. Like everyone looks like really good. Vegas's schedule doesn't actually reflect how good they really are.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't had like a healthy lineup with Stone and with Fleury in the lineup. I think they've won almost every game. I think they've only lost 1, and then Fleury got hurt, and now they've had Malcolm Subban down for the last little bit here.
That would explain it, because other than their 3-1 win last night against Edmonton, it was 5
and Subban played that one too.
It was 5 in a row that they lost. 2 were OT. So yeah, I remember 2 weeks ago we were talking about them. They hadn't lost since the trade deadline. They were flying, and then they stopped and lost like 5 games in 10 days, kind of deal.
So those two are playing each other. Can their home ice flip-flop or anything?
Vegas is 4 points back of San Jose
So it's going to be hard.
San Jose's home.
Yeah, San Jose is home.
I think it's a lock.
Because they have way more rows. Yeah, San Jose's second in the Pacific.
Okay. Because I think that's a huge difference, too, getting those games in Vegas. I
think getting the games away from the Shark Tank is more important than getting the game in Vegas. Oh, yeah. People always talk about the Shark Tank being one of the hardest rinks to play in. It's very loud.
Their goal horn is the
I
most
would have
annoying
both those in the top 5, by the way. Just
Really?
like hardest rinks to play in? Yeah.
Who's your one?
I said top 5, but like
who would you put at 1?
The Madhouse.
I'm thinking Nashville.
Frick, yeah, maybe Nashville.
I'd say Nashville.
Chicago.
Like the you suck, it's all your fault.
It's all your yeah.
If
I'm a goalie, that's the last place I want to play.
I'd probably cry.
Of course you would.
Philly fans aren't nice.
Yeah.
I feel like Montreal wouldn't be the best place to play in as an opponent.
Are we writing off? So you were talking about the Western Conference, just to wrap up the playoff sort of outlook. So we talked about the Central teams, Calgary's, Vegas, Sharks, all are in. are we just writing off whoever gets 8th?
Yeah,
Like
I think
Colorado,
Calgary will win in
Colorado
5
or
games.
Arizona. They're just they're
Yeah.
walking into a buzzsaw.
Shitstorm.
Which team do you think is better equipped to beat Calgary? Do you think it's the high octane offense of Colorado, or are you taking the defensive minded?
I'm taking Vegas.
I definitely think Colorado has a better chance.
Sorry.
I think Colorado's got a better chance against Calgary just because Calgary's goaltending is shaky, and I think if you can get McKinnon's speed out there like we've seen before in the playoffs, like if they break.
Do you remember McKinnon against Minnesota?
Yes, that was rookie year.
That. Like if he does that, they'll be okay.
And I think he's capable of doing that with Mike Smith and Riddick holding the fort. Like maybe one or two not super good goals come in. McKinnon, that was bad. McKinnon jumps in there and like maybe steals a goal kind of on his own, like from an amazing play.
Yeah.
Suddenly they can steal a home game or two against Calgary, and they can be shaken because they've had a great regular season, but recently they haven't had the best playoff success. So like people start saying like your demons are coming out or whatever, but I don't know. I think it's going to be I'm super excited for this Western Conference. I think, like we said, there's 7 really good teams and probably an 8th kind of sheep that's going to get slaughtered, but I think it's going to be good. And I also think the East is going to be good, as we talked about.
Well, as far as points, they're a lot more impressive, but just by looking at the team names and the roster that they have, I think the West is still a little bit more scary, but
yeah, like if I'm just going by like who I'd want the Jets to face up against or match up with, there's way more scary. I think we match up way better with Eastern Conference teams.
Yes.
Like,
like
I'd play everyone in the Metro before I'd play our 3 division rivals.
Metro, like, maybe not the Capitals, but everybody in the Metro basically.
Yeah.
And I'd take Toronto, Boston, Tampa.
I would love to play a 7-game series against the Leafs.
Oh, it'd be so
fun.
goddamn fun.
I think that would be so much fun, and yeah, I
These
think
cities would hate each other.
Well, you're talking about. Oh, I was talking earlier about Hellebuck playing pretty inconsistently recently. Freddie Anderson is dropping the fucking ball the last month.
But
cost me my fantasy season, but we're not going to get into that.
So just to jump topics pretty quickly here, Alexander Ovechkin hit 50 goals for the 8th time in his NHL career.
The Great 8.
He is now 1 behind Mike Bossy and Wayne Gretzky for 50-goal seasons.
How many does Gretzky have?
He's got 9.
He's at, they're both at 9?
They're both at 9.
Wow. Does Ovi have another 2 in him?
I think there's a really good chance one of these years he may tie them, but 2 more 50-goal seasons is going to be a tough tale. If you look at so this year is the 18-19 season. If you go back to the 08-09 season, there has been 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 seasons with 50 goals, or like 11 times it's happened.
8 of those?
No. And then he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
Holy shit. He's
Like
the greatest goal scorer of all time.
If you go since he entered the league, it's happened 21 times, and he has 8.
Holy shit!
Like no one scores goals like Alexander Ovechkin.
He's my favorite for a reason.
I'm literally looking at a signed jersey right now.
He's got 8 since he entered the league. The next closest guy has 2.
Who has the 2?
Crosby has 2.
Stammer?
And Stamkos has 2. So does Danny Heatley.
Oh,
that's sick.
Fucking boy, the All-Star.
Where do you see Ovi finishing all time? Do you think? Well, he's at 658 right now.
He's cut like 200 and a bit, right?
He has. Or Gordie Howe's at 801.
He's passing Gordie.
Okay, well,
like barring injuries or like
you're guaranteeing he'll score another 142 goals.
Yes, because he is 33 now.
Yeah,
if he plays,
easy.
Dude, if he plays 5 seasons, like till he's 38, he'll do that.
Yeah, 530 goal seasons for Ovi from now on sounds pretty reasonable.
Definitely reasonable.
Gretzky has 894.
That's the taller task because it's what is it? That'd be 225. He needs
136.
Whoa, no, 236. It sounds closer.
It sounds a lot closer.
Yeah, 236. Sorry. Yep, that's what I meant.
Thank you.
And that means
it's okay.
That's 450 goals and then a 34 or 36.
Well, like I said, he's 33 now. If he plays till he's 40, that means he needs 235 divided by 7. So that's over 30 goals a season for 7 straight seasons. Like if he does 35 till he's 40 a year, he will make it.
He would need 33 and a half goals.
There you go. And I think he can definitely get a couple more 40s.
So that would even out.
Like I think he's got like probably 3 more 40 goal seasons.
Holy.
And then I think he can definitely get 43 more times. Mm-hmm. Hitting I think one of those might be 50. Still?
I could also see him being the guy and saying like, I'm beating this record.
Yes, that's the other thing. I think he can be
like if he knows that he's like 20 away and he needs to play one more year, he's fucking playing the extra year. Yeah. And
also,
he's gonna be the best and score 900.
Here's my like logic behind it. We've all talked like we remember like 6 years ago when we talked about Ovi crashing and burning and he wasn't a good player anymore. He had a slump 34 and we were like, can he score anymore? Yeah. If there's any year that Ovi was supposed to not score or was allowed to, do you remember his partying? He was fucking drunk for 6 straight weeks. He was drunk for 6 straight weeks with that cup.
Swimming in fountains.
Yes, and he comes out the gate and scores 9 in the first 4 and does not take a step back. Goes for 50 on the season. Like, I don't think this guy's gonna slow down. Like, I don't. And if
why not? The one-timer still works, and nobody's solved it.
He doesn't have to move.
He is the greatest goal scorer of all time, and I'm gonna. I don't think that's very bold to say anymore. Like, it's remarkable. So yeah, just wanted to throw that in there.
I would also like to say that, you know what, if you ever want to talk about Ovi, like don't.
I don't need permission. I don't need permission.
No, no need to ask. Totally in favor of it.
Yeah.
Guy's just fucking sick. There was one thing I actually want to talk about. Kotkaniemi. He's been getting scratched recently. He's actually gotten... Well, he actually doesn't have a goal on the road all season long.
That's a weird stat.
I know. That's
how many does he have? Like 8 and all are home?
I think he has like 12 or something like that. Like I think he has over 10 goals on the year, and he doesn't have one on the road, which is a stupid, like a really weird stat, but it's... Yeah, he has 11 goals on the year. I was right.
That happens to players every... I feel like there's a guy like that on every team, though. Like I think it's Zach Hyman on the Leafs. He's got something like... Of his 55 points, like 42 are at home or something like that. Yeah, I feel like every team's got a player that I think Perreault was like that with the Jets last year. He was like 80% of his points came at home, and it was just like it seemed like a coincidence, but you know maybe that is like at home ice is a big factor for players.
Would rather score in front of his own fans than other fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe that's like part of it. You look at Pettersson though; he also has 4 goals in his last 28, and so, like, he's kind of trailing off a little bit. And when Claude Julien was asked about why he's scratching Kotkaniemi, he was literally just like, he just had, like, a really busy draft year. He's played a lot of hockey. He's played the whole season. Like, he hasn't been hurt or anything like that. Yeah. He's played every game. You know what? He just needs the break. He's fatigued. If you watch him play, you can tell, like, something's not right. So, here's what I'm going to ask you guys. Could you see this being, like, I see with the NBA, they manage the amount of time that people actually... play during the year.
Yeah, like LeBron and that. They set him for games because they don't want him to overexceed there.
Yeah, could you see the NHL starting to do that with younger players when they're bringing them into the league? Like, you know what? Obviously, like, I haven't really watched any Buffalo Sabre games, but, like, I know they're losing a ton. Like, do you think Rasmus Dahlin's probably just gassed because he has to try and bail out this shitty-ass team in front of him every night for 82 games in a season?
I think it's different in the NHL. Because one, the teams you're talking about doing load management, like when LeBron is doing it, Kawhi, all those situations, the teams that are doing it are all in playoff positions or are all like close to the playoffs. Yeah. So for a team like Vancouver or Buffalo in this situation, they're so far out of the playoffs that they're gonna play what they have. Like they don't need to rest these guys for the playoffs because obviously they're not going there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a comparison with LeBron because the Lakers are doing awful right now. It's like, hey, we're gonna sit them for the rest of the year, kind of thing. Which
I don't follow basketball too much. Yeah. Is he done for the year?
Done for the season.
Well, then they're just tanking.
Yeah.
Basically. So if that to me that's a different argument. It's not load management. Yeah. You're not resting the player. You're trying to lose. And I honestly just think the NHL's too tight. Like if there was going to be loads management, it would have been Tampa this year. Tampa would have had Hedman and Kucherov and Stamkos sitting out 15 games ago, 20 games ago because they were locks for the Prez already. Yeah. So I think it is going to shift a little bit that way. You see it more and more with goalies. Like they never play back-to-backs anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's unless it's Price coming down the stretch now. Like it doesn't happen. So I think it'll shift a little bit more that way. But I just think because of the nature of how tight knit, like, and how close the points are in the league and stuff, like you can't afford to
put your best foot forward.
You can't afford to have McDavid take a night off. Like, imagine the Oilers sat him like 5 times this year for load management.
I think they sat him twice because he was sick.
Yes, and that's
now,
but they're saying sick, but who knows? Like, he actually could have been deathly sick, kind of thing. But
now you're talking McDavid. I'm talking more. Could you see that happening more with like younger players? Like Kotkaniemi is the only one who's really like a young guy who's sitting. Like, it's not like the Canucks are sitting Pettersson, but could you see like later on, like let's say Jack Hughes gets drafted by the LA Kings
in
his first year. Could you see them maybe being like, you know what, you had a lot of hockey during your draft year. Instead of playing you 82 games, even though you're totally healthy, we'll give you
65.
We'll play you 70 games or something like that because you're not going to be able to handle the workload of 82.
Have the Habs said that they're resting him for the playoffs?
No, they're just saying like he's playing fatigue. He's visually tired.
Yeah.
I think it's because they have a better chance of winning games with veterans in the lineup, and that's why he's not playing. They're not playing him because it sounds like he's fatigued. So
yeah.
It is a fact that the schedule does ramp up compared to junior or where are you playing in Finland? In Finland, they play like 20 games a year or 30 games a year.
Yeah, and even if you look at college, max you're playing is like 40 games.
And then they jump over and play 82.
Yeah, you're playing 82 every second night kind of thing. I think it's a huge load. And even if you're going from the juniors, like the pace of the game is so much faster and harder on your body, especially like going into the NHL. It'd be so much harder, I think. So I do like the move. I really do. Because I feel like if I was one of those guys, I would love a break, like especially coming in the league like that early, kind of just hopping right into it. And it might kind of seem like a bitch move kind of thing, but I think it's good for the guys, especially the young guys who are trying to develop.
And if I think if you're going to do this, like the load management type of situation, it should have been game 27, game 43, game 52,
15,
and
days.
game 68. Those are like the 4 or 5 games like all season you take off. You don't take a week off at the end of the year to rest.
No, that's not happening.
This is an injury almost to a point like where he's fatigued. He's not ready to play in the NHL. Like he's not ready for the game. Like I said, I think with the parity in the league, that's the word I was trying to find earlier. The parity in the league, I don't think it allows for load management because you have Stamp like I said, maybe Tampa Bay in this situation, but even then we didn't see it. So
I get it. You're like, well, if you're talking from Montreal's perspective, you're like, I don't want to sit out too many guys because you know what, they're battling for a spot right now. Like think of it, you know what, if you had these guys playing in that extra little game, like you know what, that could have made the difference.
Well, like. And like look at the Jets, for example. We're only 2 points up on our division. Like let's say 5 games this year. You sat Scheifele 5, Wheeler 5, Line 5, Buff 5, or something like that. Yeah. Like 5 that they didn't just for injury purposes. I guarantee we have a few less points. Yeah. Like we're definitely lower in the standings, and we're not going to be that first place. And then we don't get home ice. And I think that having the little bit extra of load management during the season is hurt more by the lower seeding than it is. Like the little bit of energy that they would get from playing well. I don't know. I think it's a really cool. It's very interesting because you're seeing like NBA is I think the biggest revolution with the load, like the resting and stuff. But even baseball, it's happening. Like guys play 100.
Now baseball's different because you're playing over 160 freaking games of baseball. So.
But it's a similar situation. All seasons are a grind. Eventually, they get on, like, they grind on you. The only one is really football because you get the whole week off. Like, you don't really hear about guys taking a game off there because they're so important. But
if anything, guys will tough it out and do whatever because it's like, well, if I'm not going to play now, I'm missing 5% of my season.
Yeah. The other thing with load management you got to look into is with the resting of players, it affects how the roster shifts work, like in terms of like who you can dress in the lineup and stuff, because you can only have 3 scratched players on your roster, and if now you're gonna like say Line A, Scheifele don't come now, if it's like a road tripper situation, like now you only have 1 guy available on that road trip because the other 2 guys are not scheduled to play. Yeah. So I think it makes it really complicated with that, or it like there's an opportunity where that could be a case.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's typical that if it's a game at the end of the year, you'll see guys taking like. We still haven't heard of anyone. I think Calgary rested guys. Calgary rested guys the other night against LA, and they still won 7-2 or something. But I think they rested some guys, so it's happening a little bit. But It's only once teams have secured their spot, once they're locked in, and
I think it's a lot bigger thing with the rookies too. Like I think the fact that they're coming from there, but
another thing I could last thing I'm gonna just throw out there. I could also see them do you see really a difference between your 12th forward and your 13th forward? I'm surprised that that stuff doesn't really happen. Some teams will stick with the exact same lineup that wins 3 games in a row. They'll stick with that same lineup for a month.
You're right.
Just because you know what, it worked before, so you know what, we're gonna do that. In my opinion, I think they should really start looking at that, being for the Habs example, you're playing Jordan Wheel a ton or Thompson. You're playing him a lot. You know what? Hudon hasn't played in 2 months. He's itching to get out there. Pekka's itching to get out there. Is the difference that much?
And I feel like
it's not really going to cost you. It's
giving him that game is going to give him the wheels too. You're coming off of 2 months of not playing. You're kind of rusty. Someone gets injured. Who knows? So as long as you have those games every week or so, you should be fine. And it's a lot better than being out for 2 months straight, kind of thing.
No, I think that is a really good point, and I think teams. I don't understand why teams don't do that more. You're right, Colin. I think it's got to be chemistry with the unit and stuff. The fourth line's playing well. And we're winning. Why would be if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of situations. But yeah, it seems why would you have I don't even a guy Bogdan, who's the guy from Florida we just traded for at the deadline. He's got Kleslovich or whatever. Sure. He hasn't played a game for the Jets. And if there's if there's even a remote chance he gets put in the lineup, why is he sat for 20 games in a row now?
Yeah.
They should have. I think they definitely need to try and squeeze more guys in.
Yeah.
Cycling the bottom units out, and I think that's when you can maybe let Laine take a night off because he hasn't been playing super hot but
you can push someone up to that second line instead.
That was the other thing I was going to throw out there, was just throw Laine's name out there and being you know what, he's a young guy, you know what? Playing a lot of hockey, you know what, maybe...
Does he seem fatigued, though?
Give him a fortnight night.
Well, I mean, he always looks tired, but that's just because he's slow. There's a difference.
So no, you would say nothing looks different.
Yeah, nothing looks different. He's always been the same, so...
He makes skating look hard.
It's not...
He's not a smooth skater.
God, no. Alrighty, so we're trying something new here. Don't know how it's going to go. We'll figure it out. But we have a guest on for the first time ever in the Puck Boys podcast.
This is big. This is big.
This is a step in the right direction.
We're a year and a half in, and we have our first guest.
Yes. His name, we call him Jmar. His name is Justin Marinelli. Right now, he plays on the Sunnyvale team, so we're kind of mixing in the whole Sunnyvale report with him. And right now, he has 27 games, 9 points. Has played 3 seasons with the Sunnyvale hockey team, and now 1 year with the Sunnyvale soccer team.
Yeah, Sunnyvale soccer manager.
Yeah, I was manager. Put the team together. I think he's one of our better players. Hockey, he was our goalie for the first 2 years. Now he's playing player for the first year, and 9 points, 27 games. That's not bad.
Definitely one of the more unique Sunnyvale members we've ever had.
Welcome to the Puck Boys podcast, Justin Marinelli. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, boys? Good to be here.
Okay, and
coming up with fire. Love it.
Let's hope these audio issues go okay. We're just a reveal behind the curtain. We are sharing a mic between our comrades. So hope it goes well. How you doing, Justin? What's it like being on a podcast for the first time?
It's a new experience for me. How are you boys doing?
Oh, just 35 minutes.
Another day at the office.
Another day at the office. Yeah.
You're getting real.
Well, it does because we aren't recording on our normal day. Yeah. Sounds about right. And
when do we record on Mondays though? Really?
Well, we try, but I don't know.
It's 50%.
Alrighty, so how do you think your season has gone so far with the Sunnyvale team, and how do you think going forward? By the way, we lost our first playoff game. If we lose our next one, we're out. How do you think it's gonna go?
Just gonna slide that
in there. How do you think your season went, and how are you
writing us off already?
Oh fuck yeah!
No way.
You can't write us off already, dude.
We lost by 1 goal.
2 goals according to the site.
I don't care what the site says. We know what the score was.
Well, no, we actually might have to change that because if it's goal differential,
it was bullshit though. I totally shot it and went off.
Oh, it was in a solid with 2 seconds left, enough time. But how's the season gone? How's been it going?
Oh, we had dog shit season. We've lost 12 of our last 15.
It's been a bad 2019.
That is not a good way to start off.
It was how many of the last 19?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Oh.
Like I think we have. The other thing is we only have like 4 goals in our last 5 games or something. Like we don't score.
And how many do you have of those?
Not
2?
that many of them.
I have
actually.
2 of like 5 of the last 5.
Okay, we've been getting run over.
I think it's because of the division. We went up like another division.
We are way too high. We are so out of our league.
Everyone's
Well,
like,
it's more that like we just have too many guys that just like are not even remotely close to being at that level.
oh yeah,
And it's like I don't want. We're on the penalty kill a third of the time at least.
yeah,
It feels that way.
yeah.
One of our last games, we had like 8 players. 4 of them ended up in the box.
Oh yeah, we had more guys in the box. Like
How
yeah,
can
it was
you
one
win
of
a
those.
game like that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's classic Sunnyvale right there.
That's
That
classic
those
Sunnyvale.
those were the games when we were fucking 15. That was before Sunnyvale, classic Sunnyvale. Like that's
Dude,
when.
River Heights Cardinals. We
Yes.
had a playoff game against Selkirk, and
Selkirk.
all 3 assistant captains. Yeah, we had 3. We're all in the box. Myself, Lane Gramiak, and Reese.
The biggest
Saracen
problem
Penner.
out of all that is the fact that you 3 have A's.
Honestly, was not that bad of a
No,
like.
that was for
Lane,
sure.
I can see because he knows the rules.
This is also A2, dude.
Oh.
This is like yeah.
This was the show. Come on, man.
A2? All I'm hearing is 2 A's, right? But yeah, so it's kind of a rough season so far.
Dude, you look.
What did you think of the soccer season? That's what I want to know more about because
I mean, it's a co-ed soccer season. Like,
what was it like being the manager?
Did we meet expectations?
Especially Colin and I.
That's the bigger thing. It's like, you know what?
we weren't as bad as I thought we were gonna be.
Okay,
Honestly,
I'll take
like,
that.
Fair. The fact that we got moved up divisions, I was surprised. Even
Yeah.
if we didn't start in the last one, but we say anything.
No, we won a few games. Like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, like
Nah.
I thought we were a better team in the
Yep.
in the league.
Now
I don't know,
we-
we lost our first playoff game. I wasn't there.
Yeah,
but,
now
you
we
know.
got the outdoor season coming.
I'm down for that. I think I signed up for that ish.
I think, yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
playing outdoor this year.
Bullshit!
No,
I'm
I
getting you on that.
I could be a sub. I might come in.
Okay.
Especially goalie. I like honestly one of the most fun games I had this year was the game I played goalie for the indoor team.
It's fun.
I like
That's
playing
funny.
goalie.
'Cause I think that was the least amount of fun I've ever had playing soccer.
No, I was getting. I still remember. Like I had like the feels. Like I had the chills because I played back when I was 12 or whatever. I was like, oh, I remember this. This is fun. And I don't know. Running has just never been really my thing.
For long periods of time.
Well, sprints or long periods. They're neither. Like
Going up a big set of stairs, like
Yeah,
everything kind of thing.
no, it's. I like to get in the way of things. Or at least
Don't sugarcoat it. Who was better, me or Marcus?
Yeah, that's a real
yeah,
thing.
okay,
You'll
yeah.
hear.
I was politely asking that
We
earlier.
were both forward. Who scored more goals?
I had one more goal than Colin.
Okay, well there you go.
All right. Well, you know what? Like that matters.
Woo! There we go.
You know what? Lead the team in goals every fucking year. But you know what? Pierre's still better. You know what? That's all I gotta say to that. That's all I gotta say to that.
Well, you want to play that game?
No, we're not playing that game. We're not
Led
playing
the
that
team
game.
in saves every year except for the first one, and
Barely.
well, you could argue that. I don't know. I don't actually know what the first year said, but the first year we actually split the games. After that, it
Well, I
was
can tell you, second year I led in Pims.
Yeah,
I was gone for whole games.
Back-
no. You played 4. There's no way you led the team in Pims.
I think I led for goals, points every year, and then assists 1 year. I had 1 year. I think I had the most apples, and that's about it.
I can literally see your head inflating right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep pumping
Huge.
those tires.
Oh yeah. Somebody's got to.
No one has to.
No one.
I'd rather
Keep it
somebody
on-
do it.
I'd rather not.
This is the first time we've ever had a 3 against 1 on this podcast.
Yeah, against
Kinda
me.
hot.
Shocker.
Freak you.
That's all we needed. That's all we needed. All right, so should we hop into some 3 stars?
Yeah. Well, how about we get an anti-star out
Okay,
there?
I'm going to toss out the end star. The Jets' whiteout party for the first 2 rounds of the playoffs last year were fucking fantastic. They were getting 20,000 people at it. Huge party, everyone wearing white. It was a show spectacle. There was cameras everywhere just showing everybody around the streets. It was fucking amazing.
Who doesn't like a show spectacle?
English.
Do you speak it?
No! Coming into the 3rd round when we played Vegas, they decided to start selling the tickets online. It started as free. I believe, was it free the whole time they were selling tickets?
Yeah, they never charged.
They never
And
charged
they
money.
were only, so they were charging no cost, but they were only selling 15,000 of them. So people were buying them up online and selling them so people could go, and we had maybe 5,000 people at them now in the third round, which every single round you'd think it would go up more, which it happened from the first 2 rounds. This year they decide to make it another. Added a fee onto it and are only selling 15,000. I think this is the stupidest thing ever, and I know Justin actually beside me. He was the one who actually put up the point. I think it should be a $5 cover fee. So when you come up to the gate, you give $5, get a stamp, whatever the heck it is, and that's what it should be.
Well, yeah, no kidding. That way you're not gonna have to pay $20 for this.
So you're looking at entrance. So someone buys because each person's allowed to buy 4 tickets. So they buy all 4 tickets. Them and their old lady or something like that are going. They have 2 tickets that someone else might take them. You never know. No one ends up taking them, and there's half your people right there. I think it's the stupidest thing, and I think the fact that they're charging $5, I'm more fine with because I feel like more people will show up in those regards, not try to sell them again. But who knows? And I think it should be the whole $5 cover thing instead of being $5 tickets online so people can resell them. And I feel like they'll have a lot more people and a lot better parties, I guess you could say, at the street party.
I don't want to refute it too bad because it doesn't matter too much to me. But I think having the initial fee means you have a gateway between a legit fan and a non-fan. Like there's a better chance that people who are passionate and want to be there will be there. Second thing, they have to sell. They sell the tickets so they know there's a cap. So they don't have 50,000 people break out at a crazy street party that could go awry.
Yeah.
The cover idea kind of works because you can monitor how many people go in, but it's way harder to do that.
Yeah.
Like especially it's not a bar with one door; it's a street with like back lanes.
10 entrances
it's a huge surface area to cover, so it's hard. And about the scalpers, I don't know if you can really ever stop that. Like if you're gonna have a capacity, I think there's always gonna be scumbag scalpers. And it was shitty last year because there were people that got 8 free tickets and then sold all of them for $20 a piece or whatever, and it was pretty shitty. But I don't know. I think they're doing a pretty good job with it.
So I know this was like a quick anti-star, so I didn't want to go into this too much. But you were talking about how it would be like if you're like the hardcore fan, you're gonna buy the tickets ahead of time, that sort of stuff. Would you do that? You can buy the tickets for $5, but then the cover to get in is 10.
Yes.
So that way, at least like the 15,000, you're guaranteed you're going to sell these tickets. And then if you weren't one of the few guys that did there, you have to pay the extra cost. Is that a little bit more fair?
like that. Yeah, that to me that sounds just like how you run a club or like how you and something like that where it's $5
if you come early, you get the $5. If you're later, it's 10.
Yeah, I could see something like that. But overall, I don't think it's that bad of an anti-star. Just my opinion. But
can we get a
anti-star?
Third star up in here?
Third star is kind of almost an anti-star. It's just sort of a story almost. The women's league closing. Did anyone? We haven't talked about it obviously, but
the CWHL.
There was 2 professional women's leagues. There's the NWHL and the CWHL, and the CWHL has announced that they are going to close their doors. They're folding as a league.
Yeah.
Which is. From what I'm hearing both sides of the story. Like I obviously don't follow the women's league a whole lot, but having this story come up, I've looked into what people have said. It seems like it's split 50-50. People are worried. Obviously, like a bunch of women have lost their job or their side gig because the 6 teams now don't have aren't a team anymore. But a lot of players have the option, I know, to now go to the other league that's still around. And one of the things the NHL to this point has always said about women's hockey is that they're not going to support a women's hockey league because they're divided, because there's always been 2 professional leagues and sort of neither has been, it's not been like NFL, CFL, like one's bigger. It's like they're both sort of been the league.
So we don't want to pick one to fund exclusively, but now
they have the opportunity. Now it could be like a NHL, like the NBA ended up buying the WNBA and making it a bigger deal. And I think there's a chance the NHL, if they're smart,
NHL's already announced they're the biggest funder.
$100,000 or something.
Yeah, they want to jump in and try and help the women's game. So I think this could end up being a good situation. I think it could. For right now, it doesn't seem that way, but I think in the end, it could end up.
Yeah, because you can always expand teams and get more teams in that league, so they do join the one league instead of having the CWHL and the NWHL.
Exactly.
Yeah. Second star. Or are you still going?
I didn't have second star. I had first.
I have second star.
Yeah, we're on second star.
We're on second star.
Ovi. For scoring 50. Congrats, buddy.
Yeah.
8 years for the grade 8, scoring 50 goals.
We already highlighted him pretty well, but fucking beauty.
Yep.
Favorite player,
And
yada yada.
My favorite first star, I think, in a long time.
First responders. You know what? do not get enough love.
What are we talking about? First responders.
All right, so this is the tale. Young Alan Dalkey, little brother of mine, had one few many at upstairs.
Classic spot.
End up getting tossed from the bar. You know what? That's just not a big deal.
That's par for the course.
Yeah, had a. Did I say that he have had a few too many? Did I already throw that out there? Okay, so anyways, yeah, cab comes, drops him off. Apparently not the right house. Like, I think he was 2 houses away, 1 house, we're not sure yet. My brother just drunkenly goes, yeah, you know what, time to get in the house. Tries breaking into my neighbor's house. Neighbor calls the cops, but then recognizes him and just goes, oh, yeah, that's just my idiot neighbor, just being a drunk idiot, thinking it's his house, but not his. But it isn't.
Yep.
So fire department comes to the front door and just goes, yeah, so what are you doing here? And then Alan realizes, oh, well, this isn't my house. And he goes, oh, yeah, okay, never mind. I'm gonna head next door. As he's walking over there, slips, falls in front of the first responders, hits his head and his hip. And they're like, oh, well, is there anyone else home in the house? And it's like, okay, well, yeah, my older brother Colin's there. He's like, okay, they rang the doorbell. It's 1:30 in the morning, 2 a.m. I'm out. Yeah. And they go, okay, well, you know what? Nobody's answering, and we can't leave you in the house alone because, you know what, if you could swallow your own puke or die because you have a concussion or whatever, not wake up or whatever.
Yep.
You need somebody. So
just following protocol.
Yeah, if you don't sober up and can't take care of yourself, we're taking you to the drunk tank. Sat in the truck for an hour and a half.
I just imagined him sitting there. Phone's probably dead.
Oh, phone's dead. Yeah. Phone died at 3:15 because that's when I got a call from him. And then at 3:45, they're like, hey, we're going. And Alan's like, nope, let me just check. And they open the door. And I get woken up to it. 3:45. I hear, Colin. And I'm like, what? And then Alan just goes, thank God. Okay, yeah, he's in here. 2 firemen just take a step into my room and go, why didn't you answer your phone? It's like, I don't know. It's
4 in the fucking morning.
It's 3:45. I was asleep. Well, you should really answer the doorbell. Are you under the influence right now? I'm getting shit at 3:45 a.m. by these fucking pricks.
It's like, it's fucking Saturday night. Yes, I'm under the influence.
That's a stupid question.
I have a shorter list of what I'm not on.
Yeah. And they filled me in about like what everything that happened. I had to sign like a waiver or whatever. But yeah, thanks for sticking around my house
honestly,
for 2 hours.
That waiver you signed, they could have put anything in front of that waiver and that you would have signed at 4 in the morning.
Signed the house away. That was your fucking mortgage.
Yes.
Gone.
Yeah. Honestly, I could not have cared less. I just wanted to go back to bed.
Oh yeah. That's when I heard that story for the first time, I was howling, because it was the initial like.
Oh, but it's the details afterwards that like made it even funnier.
Oh yeah.
Like Alan goes, oh, turns out I got Chick's number at midnight and I tried texting it, didn't get a response. Hopefully I didn't puke on her.
Is that how he got kicked out of the bar?
That's pretty funny. Yeah, he puked at the bar, but.
Also, I think one of the funniest parts is the fact that you own this house and the neighbor's house. So he went to the wrong neighbor. If he went to either or, it would have been fine. But he went to the one that, and then he had
better odds than anyone in the world.
Yeah, and Alan was blaming the cab driver for dropping him off in for the wrong house. So it's a house over. Like
yeah, he lost some funds.
Good old Al.
Some of that money
fell out of his wallet.
Yeah, it fell out of. Yeah, it's one of those.
Well, that's a great story.
My favorite part of the whole story is the way I got the information.
Yeah.
It started with like. There were first responders at my house last night, and I was like, what the fuck happened? It's like, Alan was throwing up at the bar. Like, what does that have to do with home?
Please tie these in.
Yes, and then it's like, he got a chick's number last night. I'm like, good for Alan. It's like, but he got kicked out of the bar. I'm like, whoa. It's like, yeah, just
ups and downs.
Yes, it was and I got like different timeline.
The funniest part though was the second I lock the door, I go up down, I say, what the fuck happened? He just goes, man, those firefighters were fucking dicks. And he just goes in the washroom, he closed it. I tried talking to him after that, just nothing. I'm like...
He slept on the bathroom floor that night.
I'm like, I guess, yeah.
Good night, Jim Kite.
Yeah, well, already. Well,
Thank you, first responders, for not throwing Colin's brother in the drunk tank.
would have been a lot funnier.
And thanks to all our listeners who stuck through this.
Thanks to Jmar for coming in and being our first ever guest on the show.
Big deal.
Anytime, boys.
Although it's actually funny because we said that the first person to retweet our first tweet on the Puck Boys account would be the first guest, and that was Mark. That was
No, it was Mark.
Fuck.
We all.
So
but
he's
then
probably
again,
feeling real cheesed right now.
Shit.
we also
play,
said
play.
Aaron would get the first guest because he made the original logo. So we
Except they look like dog shit. So frig you too, Rosie.
Good thing it's still our logo.
thanks.
Follow the Puck Boys on Twitter @the Puck Boys and subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Peace.
Jmar's a big fan.